CS, we are quite excited to have you here. My colleague, CEO, has shared what has transpired over the week. It's been a very engaging moment for us to meet with the industry. This has been our most premier event in the sector for the last 12 years. I think we only missed twice because of COVID. So this has a long history. Some of the great things we have in the sector, including Huduma, the e-citizen, Presidential Digital Talent Program, and many others originated from conversations which were held here. We believed also the days we have spent here this week are going to be part of our history in the future. A number of things will come here, and we are very excited to have CS here because he's a great champion of this sector. I can personally testify of that from the days I joined Concert Technopolis. He's one of the people who would call me and discuss some key issues and challenge me why I'm not taking this option or this option, and he would go out of his way and recommend people I should meet or people I should hear and learn from them, and I want to thank you for that you supported. And over the years now, you've been very good champion for this sector, and now you are in charge of industry, trade, and investment. This sector needs you. Even probably you are in the right place to support our sector, CS, and we are ready to listen to you. Here we have technology partners, we have top tech companies who are here, they are CEOs. We have also our Kenyan entrepreneurs, which you have always challenged me to see which are these companies you can champion. You would wish when you travel yourself or with the president of the region, you'd want to see champions. Many of them are here and are potential. We also have professionals. Personally, I've benefited from these programs as an engineer in the sector, and as I rose in the management, this summit played a role. So we have many professionals here who are also looking at how to grow their careers, and in the public sector and also in the private sector. We also have our legislators who play a key role in this sector, and these are the team who are here. So we are very honored, Wasiri, to have you here this morning. So without much ado, it's my honor and pleasure to invite our CS. Let's welcome him.
Thank you, Principal Secretary for ICT, Mr. John Tanui, the Chairman of the Board, my good friend and colleague, Silimanas Maritim, CEO, Stanley Kamunguya, Captains of Industries, members of the National Assembly, members of the Senate, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am delighted to be here today. I have always followed up on the other connected case, but I think this one comes with an extra dose of energy, and I'm liking what I'm hearing, the brief that I've received about the topics that were covered in the first 2 days. First of all, let me bring to you the support and the commitment of the government under President William Ruto to growing this sector. And it's something that I keep saying. Our oil and our gold is our technology as a country. So we're not here by mistake, and we're not here by accident. We are here because we believe that using technology, we can be able to leapfrog over so many other, even developed countries. And all we need to do is to dare to dream, and we'll get there. If John Michuki, the late, and God rest his soul, was a conservative, would we have M-Pesa today? The answer is no. So here comes another opportunity for us to dare to dream. And as Lester Doro wrote, fortune favors the bold. Unless we are bold, then luck will keep evading us. I am also here today because I consider myself as one of you. Many years ago, when I joined the banking industry, I specialized in management of technology through business processes. And I had an interesting career in that sector. At one point, I'll tell you a story. I used to be a business analyst at a certain bank, and I was so much interested in coding. I was not very good in coding, but I was always, amazed by coding. So like the way you would be left with your father's toys and you start playing around with them. One time, my developer went home and left me with the system, and I actually tried to code. It was a platform. How many of you? Let me see how old this crowd is. How many of you knew of a certain coding platform known as DataIs? Very few. That shows that I'm soon joining the League of Ancestors. So, how we used to know a good developer those days is something we used to call balancing of the brackets. So you have got 7 brackets on the right. So if you have got 6 on the left, then there's a problem. So you have to keep seeing where you got it wrong. So anyway, it was a bank, and we were developing something for payments, and there's this thing that had really defeated us about how to treat cross-currency transactions. And Beryl, I remember Beryl Atieno was my developer. She went home and she told me, now if you want to sleep in the office, shauri yako. So I tried and tried and tried for this formula, and somehow it couldn't. So it was late, and of course, those days in the beginning of our careers, you don't have a car. So I went and I took a matatu and I was going home. Before I got home, the formula came to my mind. And I alighted from the matatu and I went back to the office. And I got it right, I actually got it right, and Beryl was amazed the following day. Anyway, I am a tech enthusiast, and I went out of there to work in several countries. At one point, I was a head of technology projects for the biggest Islamic bank in the world, and the only non-Muslim who was allowed to present technology products before the Sharia committee, which is the apex governing body for Islamic banking. The only non-Christian who was allowed to do that, because nobody else could do it. But the epitome of what I consider my career in this US sector is, after many years in banking, I joined the consulting world. And I was based in Dubai, and I was selling technology for several companies, most of them European companies and American companies. And there is this company from Germany that my company was representing. It was for remote management of desktops. For those of you who assume things were the way they are today, we have come from far. So this company, it was called Matrix 42 from Frankfurt. So I was representing them in the Middle East and Africa. And I sold quite some installations. But the biggest win for me is when I managed to close a sale for remote desktop management software to Wipro. I said, somebody asked me, how can you sell milk to a cow? How do you manage to sell software to an Indian company? That one will still remain on my CV. Plus, of course, many other things that we did also in this market. I was among the first team that introduced utility payments via ATMs. ATM was the highest level of automation you could do, way before the mobile phone. I was in the team that brought the electronic fund transfer, MICL for check clearing, and also what now became RTGS, as you know it today. So it's been interesting. I also didn't mention that in the 1990s, when I was in the beginning of my career in banking, all payroll, all government payroll, I don't know, John, if it has changed, but all government payroll used to be managed from a big mainframe system that was sitting somewhere in a Herufi house. And actually, I remember because that machine, it used to heat up, and you have to open the doors and the windows for the air to come in, so that it can be able to process payroll. And that time, civil servants are waiting for their salaries, yeah. And the most difficult civil servants were the teachers, because you are somewhere in Bugoma, and the teacher has gone to the bank and the money is not there because the mainframe machine. I actually remember the mainframe machine was actually bought on the same year that I was born. Yeah, we were age mates with the machine. And here it has refused. So we have to give it time, everybody out, let there be air, the windows and doors open. And the bank manager is now calling me from Bugoma and telling me, what do I do? Teachers are here. And you know that the problem with the teachers that they have gone to pick their salary, and they're riding on a bicycle, and there's a jerry can for paraffin, because all that has to be done on the same day. And here the system has refused to work. So, Ian Rorimer, my Scottish boss that time, challenged me, told me, you have achieved many things. Why can't you just crack this one? So I talked to some companies, NCL that time, for those who found NCL in the market, and ICL, for those who found ICL in the market. Those are the only companies which were there in that space, only two companies. So if you do a tender, it's either NCL or ICL. So I gave them the challenge, can't we come up with some innovation to actually, transfer this to PC? Remember that time, that is the year 1996 and 97, 98 there around, and we've just, the biggest technological innovation was Windows 95. Windows 95 has been launched. So anyway, to cut a long story short, so we tried, and finally, NCR promised to deliver a machine from the US, which can, you remember the period that time, that machine, the output was those reel-to-reel tapes. I don't know, many of you may never even have found them. You know, for those of us who are from my generation, we used to see them in the Kenya Film I've seen the Kenya Film Corporation, I think they are somewhere here. So those, those tapes of film, watoto katini chini, that was the same output that government payroll was, and we managed to convert it to very intelligent format called ASCII. And it was a big achievement for us to convert from reel to reel into ASCII. And therefore that became the beginning of when government payroll in Kenya moved to PC and system. And by the way, I had to get, government could not fund that whole project because of, they said that donors were somebody was eyeing some money from donors. So they said, I told them, no, I don't have to wait for donors. So I got KCB, I got Barclays, and I got Standard Chartered Bank where I was working to fund that project. And still some people were resisting. Anyway, we can talk about technology until cows come home. Let me tell you what I'm doing now that I'm the Minister for Investment, Trade and Industry. Now, we are doing several things, first of all, in terms of tech leadership from my ministry. First of all is on the area of digital trade. And in all the agreements, in all the bilateral negotiations that we are taking through, digital trade and e-commerce is now a must. We are discussing it within the East African community. We are discussing it within COMESA. We are discussing it within Africa Continental Free Trade area. We are now negotiating. We put it within our agenda for our economic partnership agreement with the UK. We are discussing it under the Strategic Trade and Investment Partnership with the US. It is one of the topics with the UAE, with whom we are negotiating right now. And it is one of the topics also with the European Union, which we are just about to sign anytime now. Other than that, we are hoping that by Madaraka Day, His Excellency the President is going to launch our commodities exchange, COMEX. And this is going to have a profound impact on the way we do business in this country. And not just in this country, but also in this region. So you can imagine that now, in another 8 weeks or so, somebody from Moya in Kirinyaga can be able to go to online and say, I have got so many tons of rice. And somebody from Kisumu is going to go online and order for that rice, and using our warehouse receipt system, we trade the receipts on the commodities exchange the same way we trade our shares. And then somebody, once they buy from the exchange, somebody else with their truck goes to Moya, to the warehouse, picks the rice, delivers it to Kisumu, and business is going to be done within this country by people who have never known each other and who don't need to know each other. That is the power of technology, and that's what we are doing. So that's a for us, very important way in which my ministry is adopting technology. Last week, for those who are in the AmCham meeting, we also announced the partnership we are doing with some companies. We're talking to Microsoft and other companies to actually automate the process for engaging businesses and investors in this country through the Kenya Investment Authority One-Stop Center. This system, which we are calling PASHA, and which I am going to work with you, John, to ensure that all these people are registered on PASHA. Because unless we know where they are, then how can we be able to help them? How can we be able to support them? Because right now, we are scattered all over. And using this PASHA system, we are hoping that we can be able to put things together. Those are just but some of the very few things that we are doing as a ministry in support of this journey of digital transformation. So how do I see us working together? I see us working together in several ways, ladies and gentlemen. One of the things I don't like, and I've been challenging John way before he was PS, when he was a CEO at Konza, and I was a member of the ICT committee in the 11th Parliament. And by the way, John forgot to tell you that all the money that has gone to Konza, I was a champion #1 for driving that money. Najua binadamu ni wa kusahau. John, I forgive you. I thought you'll tell these people that I robbed for you up to 11 billion shillings. Stanley is aware here, you know, and Sylvanas, you know also the work we did also in the 12th Parliament. So when I was in my formative years, I spent a lot of time. I used to have an office, a business at Dubai Internet City, and that's where my support for Konza came from, because way back then, I was from 2014. It was clear to me that we could take leadership in this tech space, and I worked with John and I worked with Bitange Demo to put the foundation for what is Konza today. But we need to do much more. If gold and oil for this country is technology, then we are not doing extremely well. In Saudi Arabia, where I spent close to a decade, if you discover oil, just one drop of oil in your house, you are taken to court and you are charged with trespassing on government property. Because you are asked, how come you went to build your house there? Didn't you know that there is oil there? And oil belongs to the government and the government only. Because that is their lifeline. And if our lifeline is technology, then we need to do much more to organize and to structure ourselves to take advantage of our oil and our gold, that's our technology. And I really want to see a situation whereby we structure this along several lines. Let's start with the most basic one, the one that pains me most. Talent. We need to do much better to manage our talent. Yesterday, I was in Embu County in an expo, and I found these wonderful kids. One of them has got some technology for predicting diseases for crops, something that we need. Another one had technology for testing or for analyzing soil acidity. Another one had this technology for managing gadgets, including putting on and off the lights remotely, blah, blah, blah. It's all over. Then I said, who knows these kids? Where are they? I remember there was some lady from Safaricom, and she was talking about Safaricom taking leadership of Internet of Things. And I was telling her, the things are these ones. These are the things. Don't go and look for things elsewhere. That Internet of Things, Kenya way, these are the things. And I want to challenge you as a sector leader, let's take, you are all here because you are so lucky to have gone through that funnel. Can you imagine, in agriculture, I talk about post-harvest losses. Yeah? For every 8 mangoes that leave the farm, only 2 make it to the market. That's post-harvest losses. And we are doing a lot of stuff, building up aggregation centers, industrial parks, to be able to stop the post-harvest losses on mangoes and avocados, on tomatoes, and stuff like that. So that one I will do. What about the post-harvest losses in the tech world? Who is going to do something, John? I'm doing something about mangoes and tomatoes. Can you please do something to stop the post-harvest losses in our talent? Because you can imagine, from 10 talented people out there, how many make it to connected KE? I'm not saying you're not smart, but I'm saying there are more smarter people out there than you who are not fortunate enough to get a connection to make it here. And if in Saudi Arabia you are accused of building on government land, if you find oil, can we criminalize having any talent out there that is not harnessed and that is not given an opportunity to become the next Microsoft and the next Meta and the next Google in the world? How do you know? And that's why we've agreed with the Minister of ICT and Minister of Education that we talk about the Silicon Savannah. And Ambassador Meg Whitman, my good friend, has challenged us on to take advantage of Silicon Savannah. So we've agreed that from primary school to secondary school to colleges to universities to villages, we are going to have Silicon Savannah clubs from all those levels. And I want you to invite me, John, to launch the Mulot Silicon Savannah Club. Because if we have these clubs, we used to have 4K clubs for agriculture. So the Silicon Savannah clubs are going to be the equivalent of the 4K clubs, so that we are able to identify these talents right from primary schools. We queued everything that used to help us to harness talent. The science congresses, I don't hear of them anymore. So save yourself first, save your world, save technology. Let's have this Silicon Savannah Club so that we can be able to move there and to structure and to harness our talent and to ensure that no single talented kids, you don't have to be rich, you don't have to have rich parents, they don't have to take you to a coding boot camp. Most of you can afford for your kids. But even for that kid, son of a farmer who has no shoes, let's work together to give that kid an opportunity, because who knows, that could be the next Bill Gates. who we are wasting. So as we sit here and we enjoy this wonderful gathering, let's all work together to ensure that those kids out there who don't have the same opportunity or lack, that also they have, they are part of that. So that's about structuring talent. After we structure talent, I want us to structure businesses. And there is a lot of fragmentation of tech businesses. Today, I can't tell you who are the software companies, who are the infrastructure companies, who are the security companies, who are the business intelligence companies. So because there's no one single way of recognizing these businesses. So again, I've instructed the Kenya Investment Authority to work with John and the team at ICT to ensure that we, as Kenya Investment Authority, invite you so that we know you register with us, so that when I'm asked we want to support software companies, I know where you are. Sasa hata tukitaka kuwasaidia, tutawasaidia mko wapi? I think, there's a lot of disorder in this sector. And John, let's work together really to structure, and I'm not saying just small, I'm saying startups, I'm saying ongoing businesses, I'm talking about multinationals, and I actually challenged multinationals last week and they responded very well. Let's all come together as government and the private sector so that we are not saying we register you so that we regulate you. I don't know why you still fear government. We are not for regulation. We are registering you so that I know this is company X, it is in software, this is company Y, it is in infrastructure, so that tomorrow maybe there's an opportunity. Maybe I need to have a discussion. Maybe I need to work with you. In the month of February, I visited 12 heads of state from Africa, East, Central and Southern Africa. And 6 or 7 countries, heads of state told me, we want you to bring your tech companies to help us in our digital takeoff. Today, if I ask John, who are these tech companies, even John will struggle to know who are these tech companies, because some of them, it's not just the big companies that we know. So, if you are a tech, you are in charge of data. I have data on agriculture, I have data on exporters, I have data on manufacturers, I don't have data on tech. Who are the owners of data? How ironical can that be? So let charity begins at home. Be structured. That data you're selling to others, I will tell them, before you buy any data or any technology from Kenyan companies, ask them how well structured they are themselves as an industry. Because you are applying data and structures everywhere. You help us to make our businesses efficient and cost effective. Why can charity begin at home? I don't know where to go to get software companies, to get hardware companies, to get infrastructure companies, to get BI and security companies. Let it start right here and let charity begins at home. So that's now on structuring businesses. After we structure talent and we structure businesses, let us now move to the issue of finance. And by the way, let me tell you something. There is no problem of finance in this country. We don't have a problem of money in this country. We don't have a problem of capital. Next time you go to conferences such as this, don't ever again say, "Tuko na shida ya capital." There is no problem. The problem is that lack of structure. Because there's a lot of people moving out there. They're telling me, now when I move to the world, I've been 5 months as minister. In those 5 months, I've been to 23 countries, talking to investors and looking for markets. The number one area of interest in Kenya, of course, is renewable energy. The number 2 is technology. There is a lot of interest there to invest in technology, to fund technology, to establish businesses here which are technology driven. So money is there. Money, you cannot say problem is money. So if we structure talent and we structure our businesses, we become more transparent and more visible and more formalized in the way we approach it. Money will come. And I'm working with one of my state corporations, the Kenya Development Corporation, You used to know it as ICDC before we merged it with the Tourism Finance Corporation and the Industrial Development Bank. And what we are doing at KDC is that we are setting up the first tech fund that is government run in this country. And that is happening imminently now. So if you get structured and you want equity investors, ask me. I have them through the fund. This is not just a government fund. By the way, government contribution in that fund is going to be 0.0001%. The rest of the money is crowdsourced. It is a platform for, we are working with World Bank to put together that platform for equity, for debt, even some component for grants for purposes of skills development. And so that now we form these partnerships. So me, I have the money. You just innovate. You just create businesses. Look at the frontiers and ask me for the money. Are you ready? Mko tayari? Very good. I think I'm talking to Masonko hapa wahitaji pesa. But it's okay. So the other area is actually on structuring innovation. Because also innovation is all over. You know, it is like abandoned children out there, you know, who leave people to their own devices. I have been talking to universities, and I have lost count of the number of innovations which our kids develop. Then XYZ big companies, including, by the way, multinationals, they go and they talk to these kids, and these kids just give their innovation, no patents, nothing. They just give it for a bowl of soup. And this is not acceptable to me. So I've also instructed another state corporation within my ministry, the Kenya Industrial Property Institute, KIPI, you all know KIPI. And I've told KIPI, I don't want innovators to come and look for us in Nairobi. I've asked them from next week, they are going around all the universities, picking up all the innovations and giving them trademarks right there at the university level. Yeah, instead of waiting for them there. So that now the discussion between the innovator and the entrepreneur can be a more balanced one. Because right now it's not a balanced one. It is one guy is there, big guy, strong guy, that is the entrepreneur. The innovator is down there, and the innovator has got no freedom of choice. He has no freedom to say no. Now what I want to do is to empower that innovator so that we can also have some voice on the table. Yeah, because if you don't put these people on the table to discuss, to be part of that discussion on our takeoff, on how we take forward our digital transformation, they will be there, but as part of the menu. And today, they are not on the table, they are on the menu, because you guys are chewing them mercilessly. Finally, is on the issue of the business environment. And last week, the president made some, historical, earth-shaking, groundbreaking announcement. Sometimes I don't think governments are lucky, because I don't think we were given the recognition we ought to have been given. Some of the things that have really hampered tech investment in this country, within a 20-minute speech by the president, were knocked off. Take, for example, I've seen the logo of AWS here, and all the other people who have been talking about the 30% ownership rule. And I'm happy our parliamentarians are here, because next week, our ICT ministry with my ministry are sending the proposals to Parliament to remove this regulation for the 30%. If you are Kamau and Wekesa company, and you formed your company hoping that you are going to be the local partner, the local shareholder for Google, too bad for you. It will not happen. It is not possible, because that is not where the world is headed. The world is headed into an area where we have got a liberal environment for investment. The issue of tax, withholding tax for and VAT for, and actually even excise duty for export of services, we are sending proposals to Parliament through the finance bill to get rid of that. So that if you are here in Nairobi or Mombasa, and you want to do business in Tanzania, right now what's happening is that when you get paid, we are taxing you because of exporting that service. So that's really coming to an end, and all this plus all the other bottlenecks that the president announced last week is so that you can be able to create a conducive environment that is going to continue attracting investment in this gold and oil that is our technology. And then it's on the issue of our infrastructure. The program that John and Eliud in the ministry are rolling out with ICTA of 100,000 kilometers of fiber is unprecedented. And you are in the industry, go to any country, probably South Korea or something like that. So it's going to place Kenya on the map, firmly on the map. But we are not going to depend on government financing to take off this huge connectivity project for two reasons. One, because it's not the right thing to do. This is one area where the private sector needs to take lead, and I'm going to ensure that we create a mechanism where the private sector can be able to undertake this project. Government's role should be regulatory, supervisory, enabling, and policy making. That is the role of government. The other reason is because we have no money. Yeah, even if we wanted to, we don't have money, the kind of money to be able to take off this project. So I want to invite those of you who want to take part in this project. We have agreed that we are going to make money available on equity basis or debt basis, whether it is in manufacturing or fiber, whether it is in those people who are going to actually be doing the civil works. Once you go to John and John gives you the contract, John will send you to me, and I'll ensure that you have the money. You don't have to go and get frustrated by our banks. And you know what has been happening? I have talked to our partners, our development finance institutions, most of which are working with KDC to make this money available. And I want to challenge banks, the commercial banks. I want to work with all of you, and I will put you together so that we can be able to work together. But there's a conversation we have to change. A bank goes out there and says, I want to fund the tech startups in Kenya. I want to fund those people who are in the digital transformation, who are manufacturing fiber, who are doing the civil works. So give me money, I go and lend to them. So Mr. Velvet Hart of a development institution out there gives money at 1%, even 2%. Then the bank comes here and gives you that money at 18%. If it was money from, let's say, deposit mobilization for which they are paying, if it's expensive money, I can understand. But money that was given by DFIs and other partners, ostensibly to take off our digital transformation, then you come and you take the money 1%, you rate the money at 17%. How different are you from that person who goes on television, televangelists in the US, ask for donation for clothes and food for those children dying in Africa, and then you go to Mutindoa and you sell Ogekomba and you sell the clothes? There's no difference. There's no difference between you and somebody who is getting ARVs to give to people who are dying, and you come and sell it. Getting money cheaply and not giving that money at the terms for which those people who gave the money intended is criminal, is unethical, is morally wrong, it is indefensible. And that's a story I want to change by ensuring that government, through our own DFI, is in the middle of that conversation to ensure that the money that is intended for you actually gets to you and actually helps us in our takeoff. So with those not very few words, let me take this opportunity to thank John and the team, and to congratulate all of you and tell you that Kenya is actually on a takeoff. So you are either part of it ama ukae kando kando. Kama gari yako haisongi, odoa jam tusonge. Thank you very much.